All right. The activity today for you on this video is just pretty much something where we're going to go over a few sets of things. It's going to be really quick, I think. Not really quick, but it shouldn't be that long. So do me a favor, watch the video, hand in the work from the work that I show. Again, I'll tell you which stuff to copy, which things to copy. Answer the question at the end of the video, and I'll give you 10% on your Chapter 1 test grade. So whatever grade you got, I'll go to it, add 10%, which of course, if you remember, is the big part. It's the 45% of your grade. So again, that way you're benefited from doing that stuff. So first, I think it's important that we revisit questions from the pre-test, just because we need to make sure that we're learning things that actually lead to a goal. This pre-test stuff is going to pop up at the end of the quarter, and it's actually going to end up being a test that you'll be graded on. So I'd like to look at some of the questions that we have, that we should have a better understanding of now. Again, you don't need to copy this, just kind of mentally follow along and make sure you understand what's going on. And if you don't, raise your hand and let me know. But I know if you're watching this video that you understand this stuff, because you're pretty much ahead. Not ahead, but you're where you're supposed to be. So in this problem, the one that we saw before, it has 5x is equal to negative 30. It gives us 4 options. But if you remember, I don't even think we need a calculator for this, because once we set it up, I think we can figure out what it is just by common sense, because 5 and x are attached. That means it's 5 times x, which means I would divide by 5 and divide by 5. Now let's use common sense here. Anytime I take 30 and divide by 5, there's no way I get a 35. There's no way I get a 30. It's either 6 or negative 6, and one of the things we learned was when the signs are the same, it's positive, and when the signs are different, it's negative, which means it has to be this one. Again, not even solving all the way through. The beauty of a multiple choice question is that you don't really need to work it all the way through. You just kind of take a step forward and then look at your answers and eliminate the ones that don't make sense, and typically you can get through that. That is the secret of your multiple choice questions, that it usually works like that. Now this one here is not like that, but again, we saw this. I just want to make sure I do this, and again, you might just want to make sure you follow along on your calculator just to make sure you know how to do it. But if you have this as the problem, yes, we'll learn how to do this in order of operations next quarter. We know a little bit about what's going on, but there's parentheses involved, so that's going to throw it off a little bit. But the bottom line here is all you have to do in this calculator, which is why I give it to you and why I'm going to give you this practice, is that you just simply type what you see. So 5 parentheses 14 minus 2, close your parentheses. The x squared button, if you look at your calculators, by the 7, and then divided by 2 equals, and again, you'll get the answer 360, which means I think there's no reason to miss that question if you see something like that again. The third one, evaluate u plus xy for these 3 values. Again, what I'm going to teach you as we continue to go is that every time you turn a letter into a number or variable into a number, use parentheses. So if u is 18, we're going to turn u into parentheses 18. Plus, once I see an x, I'm going to open it up, put a 10 in and close it. Once I see a y, I'm going to put an 8 in and close it. And again, all I have to do at this point, I could actually do order of operations here, because it's 18 plus 10 times 8, because remember, those two are right by each other. Again, the attachment between 18 and 10 is addition. The attachment between 10 and 8 is multiplication, so 10 times 8 should be done first. I really don't need that, but 10 times 8 is 80, and 18 plus 80 obviously is not 188, is not 36, is not 224, has to be 98. Or as I said, you could do it this way, where you simply type it in, parentheses 18 plus parentheses 10, close, parentheses 8, close, and you still get your 98 regardless. So like I said, you now have more tools to handle those things, and really that's what it's all about. That what we're trying to do is get you to where you are able to get to the answer in multiple ways. Next one we saw in the first week of school. We just didn't talk about it much, but if you remember, what we're going to do is have 8 meet 2 and 8 meet 9c. I'm not even going to work this out because we'll do that later, but let's just think about this. What we know about multiplying a positive times a negative is that the sign should be negative, so that should be a negative 16. And so this is why I talk about using multiple choice, answering multiple choice parts where we work forward and backward at the same time. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. That works. This does not, so I'm going to cross out B. That works. This does not, so I'm going to cross out D. And what that does for me is it keeps me from making a choice that I shouldn't be making. Anytime you're answering a multiple choice question, again, follow what you know and then look at the answers and say, well, these can't be it, and then continue going on. That leaves us with this, which you have to be careful because that is, and this is why I have you doing the negative whenever you're doing the solving part, when I want you to say it's a negative 6 or a negative 15, because that's a negative 9c times a negative 8, and a negative times a negative should be positive, which means that that can't be it. Therefore, we have that. There we go. Again, we didn't even need to know what the numbers were. We knew that this should be negative, so we eliminated B and D. And we knew the second value should be positive, so we eliminated C, and we got our answer. All right. And then, of course, on this one, here, again, the value with X is 42. This 42 is positive, so we know that we should be moving it by subtracting 42. Again, let's just use common sense. Let's not even work it out. You have 26 minus 42. You're taking 42 away from 26. I don't think you're going to get 68 because that would be plus 42. I don't think you're going to get 16 because you're not even going to have a positive number. And if you're thinking about it, if I had $26 and I wanted to buy something for 42, or you took 42 from me, I wouldn't be in debt 68 bucks. I'd only be in debt 16. But again, if you had to, which you can, 26 minus 42 equals your negative 16. But again, you should be able to, you're getting to the point where you can kind of think your way through that stuff. So I want you to learn to kind of trust your instincts. Even if you mess up a little bit, that's the key part. The second thing I want to revisit is to translate word problems, and that's because the skill is important as you continue to move forward in math. One of the biggest issues every student has is with word problems, but it's only because they look at the words and they don't know what to do. But again, we'll look to the pretest because I want you to see that we're moving towards something, not just kind of me giving you problems and saying, hey, I'm teaching you a bunch of math that you'll never use again. Remember, this pretest stuff is going to be seen again, and we're not going to worry about copying this. I'm sorry, don't copy this, but we're not going to worry about answering these, but I do want to make sure we know how to set it up for something that we'll actually be able to answer next week. So John and two friends are going for pizza for lunch. They split one pizza and 3 large drinks. The pizza costs $13.50. They spend a total of $18. Find the cost of one large drink. First thing, the pizza costs $13.50. They spend a total of $18. Usually whenever you set up an equation, your total is going to be by itself. So the total that we have is 18 bucks. Here's the other thing. The pizza costs $13.50. That is a full set on price. So therefore $13.50 is just going to be there. Again, no need to copy this. Just keep your brain active. And if you need a better explanation, raise your hand. I'll try to help you understand it. No guarantees, but I'll try. But again, you have 18 total. That's why that's all by itself. Again, the total is usually set off by itself. You spent $13.50 for the pizza plus your drinks. And here's the thing. It's John and two friends and you bought 3 large drinks. Well, again, a multiple of drinks. If you had to buy multiple drinks, you're going to multiply that by a certain number. Again, there is no each, there is no per, but using common sense, 3 large drinks means whatever the price of a large drink is, if it's $1, you're going to take $1 times 3. If it's $1.50, you take $1.50 times 3. And actually, I think we can answer this because watch this. If you can set that up, even without knowing how to solve this, the answers are over here. So again, using common sense here, you can just take $13.50, because again, I just needed to add up to 18. So $13.50 plus 3 parentheses, because remember we use parentheses to do that, times $2.25. How much does that cost? 20 bucks. So it can't be $2.25. $13.50 plus 3 times $1.50. Look at that answer. It means it has to be this one. So even if you don't know the answer, if you can just use your common sense, again, total is 18. You spent $13.50 for pizza and $3 for every drink you bought, which is why it's there. Even though there's no each or per or every, common sense says if I am buying 3 drinks, I have to multiply whatever the cost of a drink is by 3. And again, we'll revisit that. You'll see that again. You may not understand it as much as you want to now, but again, it'll come. You have $21 in a coupon for $3 off at the cupcake store. A custom ordered cupcake costs $8. How many custom cupcakes can you buy? Well, here's the thing. What's the total amount of money I have? Is that. The trick here is the coupon is for $3 off, which means I'm not going to add 3 to whatever I purchase. I'm actually going to subtract it. The other thing we have to look at is we're going to order multiple cupcakes. So therefore, I think we should put 8 times X, because again, whatever the cost of cupcakes are, or I'm sorry, however many cupcakes we purchase, we're going to spend 8 per. But again, since we have a coupon for $3 off, it should be that amount minus 3. Remember, you don't need to be copying this. You're just kind of paying attention and trying to absorb what you can, and again, asking where you have issues. But again, you have $21. You're going to buy cupcakes at the price of 8, so it's 8 times however many cupcakes I buy, and then I have a coupon that's going to take $3 off of that. And again, I'm going to use the calculator to just see what works. So this is the total. I'm going to plug in it over here until I get 21. So 8 parentheses 2, checking the first answer, minus 3. Nope, that's 13. I don't think it's going to be this either. 8 parentheses 225. That makes no sense that I would do that. Why would I buy 2 points? Because it's saying how many cupcakes can you buy. Again, think about this common sense wise. How many custom cupcakes can you buy? I don't think I would buy 2.25 cupcakes, which means I don't even think that this is going to work because it doesn't make sense. Notice the answer is 15. So nope, 8 parentheses 2.625 minus 3, which again doesn't make sense. Notice that says 18. Nope. 8 parentheses 3 minus 3 is 21. And you actually didn't have to check it. If all the other 3 didn't work, then that means that the fourth one has to be it. But again, notice how we could even use common sense in the answer. It says, how many cupcakes can you buy? There's no reason I should be able to buy a decimal. So once you know it's not 2, you could actually jump straight down to 3 and know what's going on there. Another one, Kiana went bowling with her friend. She paid $3 up front to rent the shoes and then $4.50 for each game. If she spent a total of 21, how many games did she bowl? Again, here is your total. The total number should be set by itself. Whenever you're reading word problems, if you see a total, put that number by itself. I usually get it out of the way and just put it first and then put an equal sign. That way I don't get confused. But it says she paid $3 up front to rent shoes, which means she only had to pay for shoes one time. That means we're going to do 3. And she paid, remember, and means add. So plus $4.50 for each game. There's our each. And again, even if we don't know what we're doing to solve this, which we will next week, we can take our calculator and we can do some work by plugging these answers into here. So 3 plus $4.50 parentheses 1 close equals. Now watch this carefully. That's obviously not the answer, but here's another way you can do this. And if you want to type this in real fast, it'll actually show you how to use this calculator a little bit better. So if you want to learn how to use this calculator better, please type in this part here, the 3 plus $4.50 parentheses 1, and get 7.5. Pause the video if you need to, and then I'm going to show you how to make things easier when we're going through this. So 1 is not the answer. Alright, so if we want to copy and paste, you take the up arrow and hit it, and notice that it highlights the 7.5. Hit it again until it highlights the equation you want, and then you hit the enter button while it's highlighted and it pastes it. You will then arrow back to cover the 1 and simply type a 2, and it covers it up, and then you hit enter. And you can say, does that answer match what I want? No. So guess what? Now I can highlight, hit enter, back up to that 2, turn it into a 3. That's still not it, which obviously means the answer has to be 4, because again, 1 wasn't the answer, 2 wasn't the answer, 3 wasn't the answer. But just to prove it, go up, highlight it, go back, hit the 4. There's your 21, and that's what we're looking for. All right, so just try to keep in mind, again, there are keywords that tell you which value gets multiplied. Our next chapter is going to go into more detail, but as long as you continue to just stay with me and trust that I'm not wasting your time, I promise I'm not, then you'll be fine. In the case of the cupcake problem, there were no keywords, but again, common sense, we knew that we were going to buy multiple cupcakes, so we knew we needed to buy to multiply the price of cupcakes by whatever number we bought. Same thing with the other problem that we had, which I think was Custom. So no, that was the cupcakes. Anyway, again, just be patient. A lot of learning takes time to process, and that's why we're taking pieces at a time. I'm not giving you everything at once, because if I had to teach you everything at once, it would kind of be frustrating. So last thing I want to do is just quickly go over the things that we've seen so far. The goal is not to simply give you busy work. Instead, it's just to make sure we keep tapping your memory so the memory is stronger. The hardest part about math is that if you haven't thought about it for a long time, or you haven't practiced it a whole lot, then you kind of forget how to do it. And again, it just kind of messes you up. So again, if I was to ask you who the first president of the United States was, and you haven't thought about that for a while, it might take you 5 seconds to remember it's George Washington. But if I ask you that question tomorrow, it's only going to take you 0.5 seconds, because you just researched that back into your brain and thought about it. So as long as you keep thinking about something, your memory gets better. Anyway, do me a favor and copy these problems on a sheet of paper. If you need a sheet of paper, just raise your hand. I'll bring one to you. But like I said, these I actually want you to copy, because they are actually things for your final for this year and for the work that we're doing. Don't forget, when we do distributive property, that we do 5 parentheses 3x and 5 meets negative 6. Again, that's your meetings. That when we do 5 times 3x, we get 15x, and when we do 5 times negative 6, we get negative 30, because those two are different, and so therefore that is where we end up. Now, I have b here because I want to make sure you understand that you can also multiply by a variable to another variable. Over here, we did 5 meets 3x, 5 times 3 came down, 1x was in the group, so x came down. When we go to do this one, again, I'm just going to write it down because I'm pretty sure you understand how to do this part. So when we go to do this one, here's the thing. 4 times 2 is 8. But the trick here is that there is 2 x's, so it's actually going to be 8x squared. 4 times 7 is 28. But there's only 1 x here, so we just bring down an x. So that is where you will be going at some point. Again, not right now, not this year, really, maybe at the end of this year, but again, it's not something you have to worry about so much, but just remember, if there's 2 x's when you multiply, that's where the x squared comes from. If you would have had something like 3x squared times 4x, you would say 3 times 4 is 12. There's 2 x's here, 1 x there, so it would be x to the third. But that's how you multiply. Again, I would not worry about that so much, because it's going to kind of throw some other things off. But whenever you multiply, that's how that tends to work. The order of operations we saw, remember our general idea was to feed the first teacher. Please don't fall for the trick here where there's parentheses here. The first teacher in line is division. So we do 7 plus 5 and then copy everything else. The first teacher in line is 5 times 3, which turns into 15. We then do 7 plus 15 because it's the first student, which is 22 minus 6, and then 22 minus 6 is 16. Again, take some time to copy that. And just, again, it's not so much for you to do everything. I just need for you to make sure you're understanding what I'm saying. If I say something on this video that you disagree with, it's because you don't remember. And you need to either you need to remember it, which means make sure you clarify it for yourself, or raise your hand so I can come over there and help you out and explain what might be going on. In this one, if you remember, again, tapping your memory, I said we cannot do anything until the small floating numbers are taken care of, which means the first thing we have to take care of is this. We then talked about how an exponent is simply saying multiply this number by itself that many times, which means we're actually doing 3 times 3, or as you had to write on the computer, 3 times 3, which is 9. So what we're going to do is copy the 5, copy the plus and the 4, keep this number in parentheses because it was pretty much there already, and then turn that into a 9. Now again, if our job is to feed the first teacher because the floating numbers are gone, plus multiplication has to be this one. So 5 copies plus copies, 36, and then in the end you end up with 41. All right. So that's last week's stuff. Again, copy these 4 things, A, B, and C and D, real fast if you haven't already. But let's move on to E. Again, you can pause it and go back and do that if you need to. E. This is our quiz review for tomorrow, and I want to make sure we do this so that it's in the front of your memory. In this case, remember you're looking at B and 85. 85 is with B, and so what we're going to do is since it's plus 85, we're going to subtract 85, bring down b, that goes away, and 132 minus 85 is 47, and that's it. Please make sure you keep that format. Make sure you're, well, actually, if you're watching this video, it's because you understand how to do the boxes. So just make sure you don't make any mistakes, like I said, by moving the b to the wrong side or anything like that. 64 equals t minus 16. So what we're looking at here is, again, t minus 16. It's a minus 16, so I need to put plus 16 here, plus 16 there. 64 plus 16 equals 80. And so there you go there. Almost done. 4 more. Just to make sure we get you ready for that quiz. 8x equals 96. Again, the number we want to get rid of is 8. That is 8 times x. So what we're going to do is divide by 8. Divide by 8. Again, yes, you can do it where you draw over 8, but on MathXL, make sure you use the division symbol. X comes down. 96 divided by 8 is 12. And so there we go. 161 equals 7e. Again, the number we're going to try to get rid of is the 7. This is 7 times e, so we're going to divide by 7. Divide by 7. Again, take 161 divided by 7 to get your answer, which is 23. And there you go. Like I said, pause the video to copy if you need to. I'll try to leave those in there so you can see. Just make sure you're thinking and remembering how this stuff works. On the division ones, which we learned yesterday, k over 9 equals 21. This is k divided by 9, so if you want to get rid of the 9, we need to multiply by 9 by putting the 9 in parentheses. We then do 21 times 9, which is 189. So k equals 189 here. And then on the last review, again, just to make sure it's in your memory, 34 equals m over 3, which is really m divided by 3. That's m divided by 3, so we want to multiply by 3 here. Doing 34 times 3, which is 102. And there we go. So again, pause this if you need to copy it, but I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Please be sure to ask about any of the solving problems. Again, if you have any issues on those and you forgot, let me know. I just want to make sure you're ready for your quiz tomorrow. I'll be glad to go over the information with you as you need it, of course. Again, if you need me to make up a new problem, which isn't hard, I made up the ones that were on this video. So if you're watching this video, you've been doing a great job of keeping up with the pace and working like you're supposed to. I don't typically give a lot of praise and compliments out loud because I don't like drawing extra attention to people. I know that if I do that, then you might not appreciate me saying that out loud in front of everybody, but I do know that you're working very hard, and I do sincerely appreciate it for allowing me to continue to move forward and trying to work to get out of this class. Just be sure to hand in the 10 problems on paper. Again, there is a question coming up. Make sure you answer that also. But again, be sure to hand in the 10 problems on paper with your name on it so I can add 10% to your test grade. If you forgot to copy, simply go back now, rewind, and do it. You have the rest of the day to relax. Again, answer the question at the end. Be sure to avoid interrupting other students. That way, you can kind of relax for the rest of the day, but you should have about 20 minutes left to do whatever you need to do. Have a good day. Talk to you later.